We've got to build more boxes. And this is basically everything you need to build a box. I'm not going to go into the total build, but just give you an idea of what makes these lights blink. So all this is going to fit nicely into this 50 caliber ammo box from Harbor Freight. You pick these up on sale for about $6. They're good waterproof boxes, got gaskets. I've got tons of them. They work well. So this is what makes your lights blink. That is a Cope 32. Excuse me, no, Cope 16. And each of those green ports right there you see, they're capable of, I don't know the real specs on them, but 800 to 1,000 lights per port. I run mine at 300 per port. It makes sure that there's plenty of power, plenty of everything, and it just keeps things a little bit cleaner. So you do need more of those boards doing it that way, and we'll go through that a little bit. But basically, we're going to have, let's see, we're going to have 4 of these boards, another controller type board. It's an 8. These are 16s. And then we're going to have multiple long range receivers, we call them, and they're capable of doing 1,200 per box. That's terminology we'll use going forward. So that's what makes them blink. If you don't have that, basically this is you'll see on the bottom, there's the computer. That's a Beagle bone, more or less. More people is familiar with a Raspberry Pi. This is a Beagle bone, same thing as a Pi. It's got your Ethernet in, your sound. It's all around everything you need to make your lights blink. You're going to need 16 jumpers to hook to those ports, and then those plug into the light. I always like to say this end always plugs into the light. It is a female, and the way you remember that is pretty simple. The female has the power. So all the married men know about that. So then you're going to need to get data to the box, and then you're going to need, you don't have to, but you're going to need to get data out of the box going to long range receivers, and we'll go into that a little bit. And the way you do that is each box will have 5 of these plugs going in them. These are waterproof plugs, and that's your Cat 5. And then once everything screws in, you got your plug inside there, and then this will go to there. And then that'll allow me to have 1,200 more ports going up to 300 feet throughout the yard, because these ports are only good for about 20 feet. So you've got to be within, if you're using one of those green ports, you've got to be within 20, 25 at the most feet away from that to your first light that you want to come on. So you're limited to how far you can get away from this thing. So that's where those 4 black ones up there at the top, they allow you to run 1,200 more per port there. So to long range receivers, you can get 300 feet from there. But once you get to your receiver, same rule applies to the green port. You can only get 20 feet away. So there's a, this ain't just all plugging lights in and make them blink. There's a lot of to it. Anyway, power supplies. This one's actually set up for 4, but it'll run off of 2 for what I'm wanting to do. So these are 350 watt power supplies. So 2 of them, and pretty much that's all you need to put one of these boxes together. And I won't say they're easy, but they're not real difficult after you've done a few of them. I'm getting a bad glare off that. After you've done a few of them, and I've done many, they come together real nice. Like I said, I'm not going to go through step by step, but I'll jump in and make a few you know, show you where we're at on it. All right, we're back. Get you an update on this build. Basically, there's the controller, 2 power supplies. 3D print some brackets. I did have to change them on this box. I had to lower them a little bit. But there's your controller, and it's mounted on a bracket, a 3D printed piece with some spacers. Pretty much everything you see plastic black has been printed. And then the way you get this wired up, so 2 power supplies, they're both doing 30 amps a piece. So we're sending basically 30 amp to this port here, these 2 ports. And then the other power supplies hitting these 2 ports right here. Went ahead and run a wire to each port, but each bank, 2 banks are sharing 1 power supply. So basically that's what you got. Just wired up, 10 gauge wire. It'll never pull that, but you know, 30 amps. But this board has E fuses, and so each one of these rated at 6 amps each. There's 16 of them there. But like I said, we won't get nowhere near that. We don't pixel pack. We only run at 30%, sometimes 25 on a lot of things. So we're not even coming close to pulling what this thing can do. But all right, we'll get this thing in a box, get you updated.